And the back just looks too flat to me. It looks like a big billboard or something. These are just some kind of trailer lights that have been molded into the body. If you ever cracked one of those lenses, it wouldn't be an easy change, that's for sure. So I've already actually got some other taillights that I'm going to put in here. And I think I'm going to make some little cans and French them into the body. Same thing with the license plate. I'm going to hang it in here somewhere. Before it mounted down here on this bracket and just kind of stuck up here. But I think I'm going to bring it up here a little bit and French it into the body. This is what I'm going to make those taillight cans out of. You know, I'm going to French them into the body. So I need something for the taillight to set in. And this is some 5-inch exhaust tubing. So I'm going to cut me some 2-inch thick pieces. I got all these rings deburred. Now I'm going to make some plates to go over the top of them. I've got this sheet right here. This is a 16th inch wall thickness. This is some 16th inch thick plate, so it'll be just right. So I need to cut 4 5-inch squares. Okay, I cut these little plates 5-inch square. This is a 5-inch diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and stack these up and drill them all at the same time. Then I can lay them on these rings, get them centered top to bottom, side to side, just like that. Put a little tack weld 4 places. Then I can trim these corners, weld them all the way around, and they'll be good to go. The holes will be in the center of the rings. I think it's going to be easier to trim these corners off before I have the plates tack welded on here. So I decided to go ahead and just mark them and trim them, and then I'll position them and weld them in place. And I'll just clean these welds up a little bit. And here they are, I got them all done. You can actually buy these. They're kind of like pressed for about 30 bucks each, but you know, I've got less than $20 worth of material in all 4 of these. It took a little time to make them, but I'd rather save a few bucks if I can. Okay, and they look just like that. Now they're not going to be this deep. I expect probably about at least half of that will get cut off. But I made them extra long because I want to be able to get it in the car and get them set square, and then I can trim them to the contour of the body. So I think that's going to look pretty sharp. These are from Speedway Motors. They're 1950 Pontiac replica taillights. So now what I'm going to do is make a can for the license plate. I'm going to use this frame right here and recess that into the body about this thickness right here. So I'm going to go ahead and fold up a little box for this to set in. That line there that I just drew is where I'm going to bend it. This frame has radiused corners, so I'd like for my box that it's going to set in to also have radius corner. And I've got a couple of sockets here. This one almost matches that radius perfectly. So I measured it, and then when I drew my lines out on this box, I was allowing for about 1/4 of an inch clearance between the frame and the inside of the box. So if that's the case, then I need to add about 1 inch to this diameter here, and this socket here is real close to that. So what I need to do now is get this radius in each corner. And the way I'm going to do that is make a little cut along the side here and here. And I'll cut some of this material out, fold the other one around, and then weld it. And it should be pretty good shape, I think. Okay, I'll put some weld across here now. Got a little tiny bit of cleanup in here. Nothing bad at all though. This is just a little round burr. I've got several sizes. So just cleaning this up in here a little bit. And I think it's pretty good now. So I'm gonna call that good. Now I'm gonna drill some holes in here and weld some nuts on the back side so that my frame can just have some screws go right into it. Okay, I've got my license plate frame bolted inside the box here. Got an even space on all 4 sides. Now I'm going to tack weld these nuts on 2 sides each. And by having everything put together, why I know for sure that the bolt holes are in the right place when I go to put the frame on later on. And that's pretty much all there is to making this box. I believe it's ready to put in the back of the car over there now. I'm getting ready to weld these taillight cans in place. So let me show you what I'm doing here. I've got these little pieces clamped inside the can, and then I'm using this as a reference point because it's parallel to the bottom of the can there, and this is a straight edge. So I've got them both lined up with that straight edge going across there. And I determined that I would like to have these taillights with the chrome kind of flush with the body here, and then the bulbs will kind of stick out. And this is 3/4 of an inch for the chrome there. So I measured the depth here. That's right at 2 inches. So that means if I want the taillight to be recessed 3/4 of an inch on this outside edge, I need 1.25 inches sticking out, which is what I've got right there. And then I went inside just with this little level and put that on the back side of the can on both sides and got them straight up and down. So I believe I'm ready to weld them in place. They're square with the center line of the body this way. They're perpendicular to the center line of the body. And one other thing I try to do is get these mounting holes in a horizontal position. They don't have to be exact because the taillights are symmetrical, although there is a top and a bottom, because on the bottom there's a little weep hole for water to drip out if it gets in and around there. So as long as they're pretty close, why, I'll be fine. I've got those taillights set in there. Before I welded all around these cans, I wanted to make sure there were no glaring misalignments, and they all look pretty good. Look nice from top to bottom, side to side. Nothing looks like it's misaligned. So I think I'm good to go ahead and get those welded in now. All welded in. Now I can grind these welds smooth. And here's what it looks like after it's kind of all ground down and smoothed out. Now it'll get a little skim of body filler over it. Now I'm ready to set this guy in here somewhere for the license plate. I'm not exactly sure where I want it, so what I'm going to do is just hang a tag on here somewhere, stand back and look at it, and I'll move it up and down till I find a spot that I think looks pretty good. Okay, right about here is where it's going to have to go. There's a cross member goes underneath here, and the straps that hold the gas tank in place are mounted to it, so I don't want to get down into it too much. So I've marked off my box that this is going to set in around the perimeter of it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut down the sides, across the bottom, but I won't cut the full height yet. I'll cut through here somewhere, and then I'll look down in there and see if maybe I can lower it just a little bit, ½ inch or whatever. And then once I determine that, I'll make my top cut. Okay, I can see with just these holes here that I'm not going to be able to bring this any lower. So I'm going to go ahead and punch a couple holes here, and then I'll cut it out. Okay, I've got it positioned where I want it. It's square up and down and centered. Everything's just the way I want it to be. So let me get it tack welded in place here. I'm just about ready to throw some primer, some filler primer on this thing. This dark green filler was a fiberglass infused body filler, and then the lighter color stuff is just a premium filler that sands a little easier, but it's coming along. I need to do a little bit of final sanding with a little bit finer grit paper, and then I can spray some filler primer on it and then block sand that, and this back end is going to be pretty much ready to paint then. And there it is, all finished. If you're thinking about doing something similar to your car, I hope what I've demonstrated, that Nothing magical about it. It's just work.